Hi there. All right, so the other reason why the perfect banking system doesn't use gold and silver as money is for the same exact reason that commodity money advocates say that we should be using gold and silver as money. And that's that it doesn't allow the governments to ledger money into existence and expand the money supply. Commodity money advocates would say that that action taken by the government causes inflation. But that's not always true. If what the governments are creating that money for is to pay for something that would increase the volume of production and trade in proportion to the volume of money that was created, like infrastructure, for example, then you wouldn't have inflation. The economy would remain balanced. Infrastructure increases the volume of production and trade. So let's say you need to build new infrastructure because the population is growing, or you need to repair the existing infrastructure. If we're under a gold and silver system and the government doesn't have the gold and silver in its accounts to pay for that infrastructure, then production and trade is going to suffer. It's going to diminish. And if it diminishes faster than the money supply shrinks, then you'll have inflation. Because there's two things that cause inflation. It isn't just the one thing that we hear about, the expansion of the money supply. Also, the diminishing of the volume of production and trade causes inflation if it diminishes faster than the volume of money in circulation. So you could have inflation under a gold and silver system if production and trade suffers. Another thing is, if the government needs to do something like pay for infrastructure, and we're under a gold and silver system and they don't have that gold and silver in their accounts to pay for it, then one of two things happens then. Either it doesn't get done, or they have to borrow it. And if the government borrows money from a lender, then it becomes usurped by that lender. It's what's happened today. We're told today that governments are creating money out of thin air. They're creating money out of nothing. Governments don't create money, they borrow money. The ones that create money out of nothing are the banks. So the government is borrowing money from the banks, and now it's in debt to the banks. So now the government becomes a collection agency against the people for the benefit of the banks. And that's what's happened today. And if you're saying, oh, but today we have a checkbook money system, that's the point. It doesn't matter what kind of money is being borrowed by the governments, if it's checkbook money or if it's gold or silver. If the government's borrowing money, it becomes usurped by the lender, and then it becomes a collection agency for the lender. And that's it. That's plain and simple why the perfect banking system doesn't use gold and silver as money, because the governments have to remain free of their debt to the lenders. And the perfect banking system has rules in order to control inflation and deflation so that the economy could remain balanced and everybody could remain free and sovereign. All right, that's it. I don't think there's anything else to add to that. All right, take care. Thanks for listening.